Welcome back, guys. So let's learn how to make this top. If you're new here, please subscribe. Do not forget to like, share, and turn on your notification bell. So I placed my fabric on fold. I thought I was filming the entire time, but I wasn't. So I'm just going to explain again. I marked out my starting line already. What we're going to start with is to measure the shoulder. I started by measuring the shoulder. My shoulder is 15 divided by 2, that's 7.5, plus half inches is going to make 8 inches. That's what I measured. Then I came down from that shoulder line. I marked 8 inches, and that's going to be my armhole. Yes, so I measured 8 inches and then I just drew out the curve, the armhole curve. So the next thing to do is to impute the vertical measurement. First is the bust point. The bust point I'm working with is 10 inches. The under bust is 13 inches. The top length is 21. Yes, the top length is 21. But because of the basque effect at the front, I'll be adding extra 5 inches allowance. So 5 inches extra allowance, then I'll add another 1 inches sewing allowance. So the total length is going to be 27. That's the total length. So 21 inches is the major length. Then I added extra 5 inches allowance and then 1 inch sewing allowance. On the bust point, I'm going to impute the bust measurement, which is 33 divided by 4. Then I'm adding half inches ease allowance, then 1 inch sewing allowance. Note, if you're working with a very stretchy fabric, you do not need to add the half inches ease allowance. Then for the underbust, my underbust divided by 4 plus half inches ease allowance, then plus 1 inch sewing allowance, making it a total of 1.5 inches. I'm also going to repeat the same thing too for the top length. So on the top length, I measured my waist round. So the waist is 35 divided by 4, then plus half inches ease allowance and 1 inch sewing allowance. That's a total of 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to connect it and just take it straight down to the total length. Next, we're going to draft out the neckline. The neckline I'm working with is 3 inches. 3 inches is enough. It's a square neckline or Queen Anne kind of neckline. So 3 inches is enough. The depth, I'm going to be working with 5 inches. So I'll measure 5 inches and then I'll connect. And then on that 5 inches, I'm going to measure 4 inches. I'm going to measure 4 inches and I'm going to take my ruler to connect from that 4 inches to the upper part. So this is what it's going to look like. So we have our neckline ready. So on the shoulder line, we all know our shoulders are not straight. So I'm going to come down by 1 inches to give it the shoulder slant. So from that 1 inches, I'm going to connect it to the neck width to give it a shoulder slant. Also, I'm also going to add half inches sewing allowance. I always forget to do this thing, I don't know why. So don't forget to add your half inches sewing allowance. Then I'm just going to cut out the fabric. So this is it. I'm going to use this front to cut out the back fabric. So I have placed my fabric on fold, then I just placed the front on it. So the only difference we'll have from the front and the back is the neckline, and also the length at the back is going to be a little bit different from the front because the front has a basque waistline, basque kind of shape. So the first thing I'm going to do first is to mark out my neckline. The neckline I'm going to be using is going to be about 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to draw out the curve. So the length of the back is 21. Do not forget that the front is longer than the back. So I'm just going to measure that 21. Since we're using the front to duplicate the back, I'll measure the 21 and then I'll fold my fabric. I'll fold it to the length I want, which is 21. And then I'll add a sewing allowance. I'm going to be adding half inches sewing allowance and then I'll trace it out and cut it. So This is what it looks like. We have the front and the back. So what we're going to be doing next is to cut out the basque effect on the front. You remember that the front is not straight. So what I'm going to do is I'll just on the main length, don't forget the main length of the top is 21, right? So I'm going to be using my ruler to connect from the middle. I'm going to be using my ruler to connect from the middle to the original length of the top. Yeah, so that way we'll be able to get that basque effect on the top. After cutting, this is what we have. The next thing we're going to do is to turn the neck with a bias tape. You can either choose to use your main fabric as a bias, but I'm using an already made bias tape. So you're going to use it to turn both the front and the back together. So you're also going to use it to turn the neckline for the back. And then the next thing you're going to do is to join your top by the shoulder. Yeah, so you're going to join both shoulders together like this, right side facing right. You're also going to do the same thing for the other side. You're going to join the shoulder. So this top has a belt by the side, two belts by the side, and that's why it looks very snatched on my waist. So when you're sewing yours, I actually forgot to add my belt while joining. So before you join, you just measure 4 inches from the bottom, from down. You measure 4 inches upward, and then you give space for belt. You sew a loose stitch on it. So you're going to sew by the side with whatever allowance you added. For me, I added 1 inch sewing allowance. So I'm going to sew by 1 inches, and I'm going to leave a space for you should leave a space for where you attach your belt. So this is what we have. I've cut out the belt. The width is 2 inches and the length is by 20 or 21. It depends on how long you want it. But 20 inches, 25 inches is okay. So we're going to be attaching this belt to the top. Like you can see, I've already turned the top with the bias. I've turned it with the bias. I've joined it by the side. I've also trimmed off the excess on the armhole. Like I said, we have to make the hole to place the belt. So from the bottom, I measured 4 inches, and this is the hole. You're going to measure 4 inches from the bottom, leave a space for your belt, and then you sew the other one. So the width of the belt is 2 inches on fold. That means it is 4 inches if it is not folded. So I'm just going to sew it. I'm going to join it by the side. I will join it and I'll show you how it looks. So this is the belt. This is how it looks. I have joined it by the side, just the side only, by half inches. So what you're going to do is you're going to place it like this, making sure that where you joined is in the middle, and then you're going to top stitch. You're going to sew on it. This way, where you joined it will not be very visible. So do you get? After doing that, you're going to turn it over. You can either use a scissors or something like a long stick to turn it over. And after turning it over, you're going to have something like this, and then the seam is not going to be showing, it's going to be inside after turning it over. And then you're going to be taking the other end of the belt, that's the place you did not join, the place that is open like this. You're just going to be placing it in between your top like this, and then you're just going to turn it over. You can use your pin to hold it down to secure it. You're just going to turn it over and then you sew. So the other place you joined will be outside, but the other end of the belt you did not join is going to be inside, and that's where you will be joining inside. So I hope you understand. You turn it like this, sew it, you turn it over, and then you place it inside your top. So you're also going to repeat this same process for the other side. There are two belts, so you're going to repeat the same process. For the length, you can decide to use any length you want. So from 20 upward or 15 upward, it's okay. So for the sleeve, I did not realize my phone was not recording when I cut it out. So I'm just going to explain. For the upper part, I just measured my round armhole If you don't know how to cut a sleeve, you can watch the video I posted on how to draft a sleeve. I'm going to be dropping the link in the description. So I measured my armhole and I added allowance to it, sewing allowance. So the round armhole is 9, so I added extra allowance, and then it's a free sleeve, so I'm not going to be giving it shape. I measured the full length. My full length is 23, so I added 2 inches sewing allowance because I will be adding elastic, so it's going to have a kind of puffy look. So that's why the total length I added 2 inches allowance, and then for the width is 11. Then I just connected from the armhole to the length, and that's all. And we have our sleeve. So we'll be attaching the sleeve to the top. What we'll do first is to join it by the side. So I'm just going to be using 1 inches to join it by the side. Since it is not a fitted sleeve, I'm not going to be doing any measurements. And then after joining it, I'm going to add my elastic, and then I'm going to attach the sleeve to the armhole this way. So I'm going to be folding it, add my elastic, and then I'll attach it this way. So guys, this is the final look. You can see how snatched it is looking, and it is all thanks to the belt. The belt is at the back. I tied it. This is the belt. So after you're done sewing yours, you can just tie it at the back. So guys, let me know what you think about this tutorial in the comment section. Will you be trying it? Please like, share and subscribe. Turn on notification bell. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.